Hmm. Good morning, all.
Good
You
morning.
getting me?
Yep, we
I
can
can
hear
hear
you
you
loud.
now.
Okay.
Good.
Is it any better?
So we live. You just have to centralize
Yeah,
it.
it
Okay,
looks
you're
better.
getting.
Looks better. Looks better. It looks better. It looks better. It looks better. It looks really, really good. Is the Facebook link up, Rufus?
We are live.
Oh,
Very
hmm.
good. Very good.
Good morning. Good morning. Just like that. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy to be here. Um, this is your regular man, Isaac Tukpai. What is this? This is business talk. This is business talk, folks. Um, we have Mr. Divine, Mr. Rules Divine Connor. He's in the studio, fresh and ready today. So this is exciting. Um, Obviously, our energy and business development expert is here, Mr. Akino R. Phillips. So set yourself. We're excited to be here again for another show. Last week, unfortunately for me, I was involved with the funeral and repast activities for my godson, who passed away um, late in July. It's been kind of really tough for a young man, 35 years old, for his mother. May Ronald Queen's soul rest in peace. Um, Hopefully, like they say, when we transition here, we are in somewhere better. So we pray for his soul. We pray that he's not troubled, that he's with the Creator, and will hopefully join him in the afterlife. But we appreciate those who are still here. We appreciate the presence of his mom, of um, his younger brother, his dad, and we thank God for life. And we know we have been hearing so many deaths, so many young people dying as well. And if there's any way that we can control some of those things, we should try to do that. If there any way the community can come together better to prevent some of those things, that's what we should do. See how we can help each other while we are alive, rather than waiting after the fact. And Liberians have been pretty good at supporting people um, or the families that leave behind after somebody passes, but we're not proactive in trying to ensure we prolong our lives, or when people are in challenging situations or need help, that we are there to support them. So some of us has pushed that agenda, and that's all part of what we are about, right? How can we sustain, how can we prolong, how can we live better lives? So whether it's from financial literacy, whether it's from health education, whether it's from entrepreneurship and doing business that can afford you those things that can support your life, those are things that we need to focus on. So welcome to the show today. We have an exciting topic. Akina, you want to share what we're talking about today, or you want me to go ahead?
No, I mean, thank you for that intro. Sincere deep sympathies to the Godson's family. So, like you said, may the soul rest in perpetual peace. But today, the show, we want to talk about Liberianization, how Liberians can benefit from Liberianization, how Liberian jobs can be protected and created from Liberianization, how Liberian businesses can be protected, that more Liberian businesses can be created from Liberianization, from the Liberianization policy. The money's in the budget every year for government agencies, government ministries, government projects in those agencies and ministries. That money is there to, the upkeep, the operation, government policies, projects, vision, all of those things, those monies are there. How can Liberian companies benefit from that? The budget is increasing year after year. I think our budget is now over $1 billion. Rufus, correct me if I'm wrong, but how can Liberian companies, through the Liberianization policy, benefit from the jobs created from that money in the budget? And how can Liberian businesses benefit from that money in the budget for the upkeep and the operation of the various ministries? That is something that is very important, very critical to our economic growth and prosperity. We talked about Liberians providing, for their families, their loved ones, tuition, rent, and so forth and so on through their businesses, through their jobs. And I believe this is something that speaks to the heart of our country and our economy. We must drive because Liberianization policy is what? It's all about Liberians first. Liberians first, putting Liberians first. If the project or the contract has to be awarded, Liberians first. If the business has to be created, Liberians first. From the National Investment Commission all the way to the LERC, all the way to the LEC, the LEC contractors, Liberian contractors, all the way to the Ministry of Gender, seminars, programs, and all of those things are Liberian businesses and Liberian entities being looked at, considered first, as opposed to foreign businesses and foreign companies. And then also, Rufus, you always bring this up when we talk about Liberianization, how foreigners are using Liberians as their front people to front for foreign entities to make it in a deceptive policy, right? A deceptive strategy and plan to take a foreign company and put a costume of Liberian on it and then present them as a Liberian company whereby the foreign persons in the back are benefiting from it. How can these things be identified and be weeded out? So how can Liberian businesses, Liberian jobs benefit from the policies of Liberianization within our economy so we can grow and we can expand and we can ultimately excel? That's the topic for today. And we want everyone to please share the show, join the show by way of Facebook, uh, share it on LinkedIn, share it on Facebook, share it wherever you can. But we want everyone to listen to and participate. Let this be a participatory event for everyone because this concerns all of us, especially Liberians in the diaspora. You're leaving here, you're going home, you want to do a project, you want to be a supplier or a vendor to a government ministry, be it for stationery, be it for IT services, the supply of vehicles and so forth and so on. The money's in the budget, but how can Liberian businesses benefit from that? How can Liberian jobs be protected under the Liberianization policy? Over to you, Rufus. What do you think? Or Ava?
Um, so this is kind of a touchy topic. Um, we have seen the Liberianization policy. The original was in 1973, and we had actually 26, 26 sectors were set aside for Liberians. And then in 2010, Madam Salif kind of shifted the policy. All right, she reduced it from 26 to 16. And the other ones, she expanded it and set threshold where foreign investors could, invest. So um, we did like an alignment of the previous 26 to the new 16 and some of the changes. So let me see if I can share my screen here and just walk through a little bit some of the sectors so people can see the differentiation between what existed before and what we have now. Um, so select entire screen and share. Okay. So I believe you guys can see my screen, right? Can you see my screen?
Seeing the screen, yeah.
All right. So back in 1973, these were the areas, this column right here, column B, These were the areas for Liberianization where these 26 business activities were set aside exclusively for Liberians. Block making, importation or sale of second-hand clothing, toga flare, as we call it, auto repair and maintenance, no restrictions, just Liberians were supposed to be. Peddling, selling in the street, walking around, ice making, shoe repair, retail of rice and cement, the transportation sector, taxis and buses, video clubs, gas stations, um, distribution of locally manufactured goods. Um, and then these were the additional ones: advertising agencies, pharmaceutical sale, bakeries, printing shop. Um, then there were retail of goods below certain thresholds. So all of these items in this column, they were all reserved for Liberian businesses from here to the top. And if you look at the bottom here, you see the count. That was 26 items. 26 sectors were set aside exclusively for Liberians. Then in 2010, Madam Salif changed the law. They amended the Investment Act and it reduced those number of sectors from 26 to 16, right? And that's those 16 included these right here where, for example, 3 and 3, 6 and 3, 9 and 2, 11. 11 on the original one were held without any shift, okay? And then they broke down these other 5: supply of sand, tires repair shops, retail sale of timber and planks, importation and sale of used cars, except dealerships with after sales services and travel agencies. All these are reserved for Liberian, these 16. And as much as we reject the decrease and we believe, governments who kind of subsidize and support those same first 26, but these 16, if they were really enforced and really reserved for Liberians, it would still mean a lot. But within that amendment, they also enable foreigners investing in these other sectors by saying that if foreigners have an capital investment of 300,000, they can invest in any of these other sectors. So that means they took away from Liberians. So advertising agency, graphics, and commercial artists, foreigners can invest in it. Sale of pharmaceutical, before that was for only Liberians. Like we can see here, sale of pharmaceutical, except major importation, was only for Liberians. Now foreigners could get in it once they had the capital to get in. And we know that whole dynamic about capital. I mean, the access to capital is limited for Liberian bakeries. That's why we see Loving, and those other places that are doing bakery stuff and selling them. They're competing with opportunity that should be for Liberian. Printing shops, they change it. They say commercial printing. When the people got 300,000, they can invest in the printing area. And yes, if you're buying some real expensive printing machines and stuff like that, you can get that money. And the thing is, for a lot of these things, government's funding can be used to help, because we know, for example, government would do at least I can't give the special amount, the exact amount, but a significant number of dollars in the government budget is geared towards printing. So if you support some people already in the sector and prepare them to be able to, let me stop sharing and we can go back to it. So if you support some of the Liberian businesses in those specific areas to be able to bridge that 300,000 investment gap, wouldn't it be wonderful for Liberians that they can have the right kind of equipment, advanced stuff that they can help? Because the money is there, and you, government, can commit to certain of those businesses that you would take your businesses to your different printing activities to Liberian businesses. And it's a tough sector. Most of the times it's when during elections or start of school or something that the printing, agencies can actually have like a little boom. But other than that, it's very challenging for them. And these different areas are something that government really needs to look into to see how we can support our Liberian businesses. So I just shared the from how we move from the 26 to the 16, and then some of the other sectors that are limited for Liberians. If you guys want to share any thoughts, Rufus, like can always say, you on the ground, what is the feeling about liberalization policy? Because I will share later a little video I watched of this
The,
Liberian
from my
government.
end, the liberalization policy is a good thing, but some of the challenges that we Liberians are faced with in terms of lack of skills and manpower in those areas have caused foreigners to actually dominate in terms of limited access to capital, like you mentioned, is also one of the challenges that Liberians are faced with. In terms of foreign economic influence, is one of the challenges. Political favoritism is also one of those challenges. So there are a lot more that we can name. So if Liberians or the Liberian government can actually invest in the area that we always say education is very important. When the minds are developed, the eyes will appreciate the works of the hands. So from that backdrop, the government need to invest more in education to get our people to learn some of these major areas that you mentioned, so that we take hold of it. We are lacking the specialty in those areas, so the foreigners see it as a leakage, and they come in with the influence of cash. So they get more and invest more into that area because you will not find Liberians venturing because they lack the knowledge and they do not have the financial strength to actually make use of the opportunity from the liberalization policy.
All right,
Let me,
so
let
for
me, let me,
before you come in, Akino, for our people
yeah,
listening
yeah,
who may
yeah.
not understand um what you said, economic puritanism or something, Rufus, can you break that down for our people?
The foreign, as their foreign economic influence,
Okay,
companies remain very important to Liberia's economy. The foreign companies.
I got you. All right, Akino.
Well, look at it from this perspective. You and I, we live in the U.S., right? There's a thing here called lobbying, right? Lobbying. We all know what lobbying is, right? Lobbying is basically private sector influence into government to steer government in a direction that favors them, the private businesses, the big businesses. So if you look at that Liberianization, if you go back to that chart, put that chart up that Excel spreadsheet that you had up there. So the question now becomes, what was the influence that led Her Excellency President Salih to change the rules of the game? What was the influence?
Hey,
Was the influence
you got it word
was
right. Well, go ahead.
what was the influence? Was the influence the corporations, the foreign businesses, the money people in the different communities, call it Lebanese, call it the Indians, whatever way you want to call it? Who drove that? Who drove that? Who pushed that? Because something had to influence her to make this decision and package it as the investment act, right? So I mean, yeah, it is. She inherited a country coming out of a destabilizing period. Okay, a destabilizing period. And as Rufus said, we had to create jobs, we had to provide opportunities, and she had the whole, the backing of the international community and everything else prepared to put money in. The unmilled people were there, they were investing money, money was in circulation. So the question now is, who drove the influence? Who provided the influence? What was the influential, what made her to move, to pick up the pen to change the policy, to dilute it, to go from 26 to what? 11 or whatever the case is?
16.
11 to 16 to 16. And from the time she came in, if you look at what the budget, the national budget was from the time she came in, every year that budget increased. It increased. And here it is, you count how many years she was in office for 2 terms. 6 times 2 is 12. And then we was in office for 1 term. That's 6 years. 6 times 3 is 18. Here it is now, you add the 2 years to the 18, you talk about 20 years. And every year there was a what? How do you guys call it? The recast budget. Am I correct, Rufus? The recast budget. So if you count how many years, that's 20 years, that budget increased every year. And here it is now, the budget is what? It's over $1 billion. Over $1 billion. So what have Liberian businesses benefited? And what was the influence that drove and pushed and made the president to go from 26 sectors in the Liberianization policy to 16 or 17? And now, because of that move, because of that influence, what has happened to the Liberianization policy? You got
You know,
more foreign businesses participating in those areas. And are they creating a job? Are they higher level jobs? Are they higher paying jobs? Are they not dominating our economy as a result of this influence that changed the? That's the question.
you raise a great point. That's a solid question, but I will even extend that question because the point you're making, that budget, that $1.2 billion budget of nearly 1.25 billion, right? Government is a major spender in the economy, the biggest spender. So how has that 26 to 16 factor for Liberians in this 1.2 billion budget? Can the government carve out and say this is what in this 1.25 billion that goes to our Liberian businesses? And then you got to add on the loan money and the grant money for these different economic activities that we are actually putting, our future revenue will be paying those debt back, right? So how are Liberians benefiting? Again, it comes to capital flight. It comes to government not monitoring these different sectors that reserve for Liberians. Recently, I think Senator American trying to push a bill for 25% of public procurement to be set aside for Liberian-owned business. But the enforcement is not happening. The enforcement is not happening. So when you look at the 1.2 billion year and you look at the economy and say, is it for everybody else who show up with capital because they got 300,000 and they can invest in these other businesses or just other businesses so they can just do anything? They can bring foreign workers who don't clear. Only recently I saw the Ministry of Labor showing some teeth and denying work permit for some foreign company, but they need to go beyond that. Their scope is larger than that to ensure and enforce liberalization. They must monitor these things. They must see that this liberalization is actually creating businesses, creating jobs, and they, in their role, got to enforce and protect the job for Liberians. And they have done a poor job of doing that, historically. So, we really need to look at this as a people. And I saw this clip of a young guy asking why, because they are the ones mainly affected. Our young people, some of them graduated from college, some of them graduated from trade school. The opportunities are very, very limited. So how can government, really relook at this thing and take an active role in ensuring Liberianization? This job is supposed to protect the Liberian people, it's supposed to protect the jobs, it's supposed to protect the little small shop, the trucking business, all these other activities. And if it can happen, it's a tough thing for them. How do they move forward? How can the economy, from a Liberian perspective, move forward? You want to say every year would they pass increased budget 1.2 million, 1.2 billion, 1.3 billion, and going up? I mean, our capacity is larger than that, in my mind, in terms of what we can generate for revenue. But unfortunately, it's not there. So we just want to, before we go on to you guys, to answer those questions, let's just say welcome to the people watching us. We appreciate you, getting up 10 o'clock Eastern time or breaking your day in Liberia at 2 p.m. in the afternoon when you probably should be at Doma Valley or somewhere else hanging out to watch us is very critical. Those who and those who will watch us later, we appreciate them. Um, so thank you for watching. And Akina, there are many people out there who watch the show. I was surprised. I'm out in North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina this weekend, and a lot of my cousin folks are out here. I didn't even know many of them watch the show, but many of them watching the show. Someone asked me last night, "Your show tomorrow morning, you'll be on your show." I said, "I have to be on the show. I missed last week. I missed last week already, but the probably got to party with the people that's small now. He got to hang out." So I was out here hanging out, and it's just wonderful that people, Alexandra Chomte, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Um, she's sharing something here. I don't know whether Rufus you can share that comment. Let me see if
There's
oh
on the screen.
I already shared it. Thank you, Rufus. Thank you. And you shared a couple of ones earlier. Her comment is very germane to what we're talking about. That education has to be intentional. She gives an example of Burkina Faso, where the school curricula are now elaborated to fit the job market. And that's the thing I'm going to get to later on in the show, Alexandria. You 1,000% correct. So, for example, let's look at this, right? 250 million will be the compact that will be coming to Liberia. Then the Millennium Challenge Corporation, compact number 2 for Liberia. It will focus on a couple of different things. They say energy generation. So they can focus on the generation, right? But when you generate energy, what are the other two things you gotta do?
You got to transmit it. You have to distribute it.
Thank you. So how can they prepare Liberian businesses to be ready for that? Right? And they will also, in that, I believe they will also be looking at critical minerals, right? You remember when President Boyka went to the US and Donald Trump complimented him on his English. What did he ask the US president for? Anybody remember?
I can't remember.
He asked him for the US to help us do a geological survey of the country to identify where all our minerals are. And a lot of people took it to be something minor, but it's something critical. Because if you know where your deposits are for different minerals, if you know what level of quantities you have, whether commercial quantities or not commercial, it gives you something in your hand that you can attract these huge 200 million, 400 million, 500 million opportunities that a development finance corporation can probably even fund for them to come to your country. But are we prepared to take advantages of those things as Liberians? I don't think so. So how does government drive Liberian businesses into those sectors? The mining, the electricity sector, there will be opportunities there. Whether it's the feasibility studies, whether it's if you say you're trying to generate, including solar energy, mini grids, the construction of mini grids, you can break down that sector better for us, to tell us what would be the opportunities. Let's say that 250 million, the government will say we put 100 aside for the mineral sector to do the geological survey, to be able to put Liberian companies in a position to support the mining investors that will be coming. Then the other 150 million is set aside for the energy generation. We have maybe at least 15, 20 mega or let's say 10 megawatts maybe. So 10 times, let's say 1 million for each megawatt. I'm just making it low budget now, 1 million for each megawatt. So that 10 million right there, you add it across the 15 counties, 150 million, let's say, that total amount of energy generation. So, how can the business people, Liberian entrepreneurs, be able to be supported in those two areas for them to be able to bring business? Like you said, we got to be intentional in our education, in our preparation for businesses coming to Liberia. The Ministry of Labor has to be forward thinking.
I got it. Yeah, they. Okay, so let's unpack that, right? Let's unpack that. You're only talking about the compact, so that's 250 million dollars for the compact that's coming to life. Okay.
Yes, start coming
Going
down the road. Right.
Yeah, so one of I believe one of Liberia's greatest challenges, okay, in government, out of government, private sector, what it is. I think the private sector applies this more. The foreign private sector. Let me qualify it. Not the Liberian private sector, but the foreign private sector applies this capability or ability more than the Liberian private sector and the Liberian government. And what is that? Critical thinking, strategic thinking, okay, forecasting, okay, looking forward. The private, the foreign private sector, the foreign private investors in Liberia apply critical thinking in every aspect of their business. They plan, they listen, they learn, they read reports, they've got their finger on the pulse. They have a better understanding of what is coming down the road. They know what's needed to achieve certain things in different sector of the economies. We're not purposeful. We're not intentional. We're not futuristic in the way we think and the way we do things. We are more reactionary. When something happens, that's when we want to move. Not before, no, but it's after it has happened. Okay, and I'll prove the point. If when July 26th coming, I'm not digressing. Let's proving a point. When July 26th is coming, and the president say, I'm going to spend July 26th in Nimba County, or I'm going to spend July 26th in
And
Bapode
recently it
County.
was Grand Bassa. Recently, this past one was Grand Bassa.
When does the planning start? Even the day of July 26th, they're still painting trees. It that I'm just saying, there's no forecasting, there's no future planning. That the day before the president get the grant, when they're cleaning the road and cutting on the side, the day before, we are reactionary in the way we do things as opposed to being responsive and planning and being more futuristic and applying critical thinking and strategic thinking so that we can what benefit from these things as we're not holistic in our thinking. We're narrow-minded in the way we think. When somebody talks about the energy sector, where's the learning? Where's the understanding, the depth of the energy sector? Energy is not just something you do. Power generation is just one aspect of it. You got the turbines or the solar farm. There's a whole aspect to the generation side. Third party contracting, equipment supply, transportation. The equipment don't show up at the port of Monrovia and then people carry it on their back. There's a whole transportation and logistics sector that got to move that equipment from the port to the project site. The project site has to be clear. That third party contractors, again, are Liberian contractors who created and positioned to clear, to clean the land, to prepare it. So through that whole process, just on getting the equipment to Liberia and transporting it from the port, our Liberian logistics companies benefiting from the transporting of that equipment with their trucking. Our Liberian contractors benefiting in clearing the land, digging the holes. Then you got the generation side. So we've got all of these vocational training schools. Under President Salif, so many different counties created by community colleges, right? Am I right or wrong? Rufus, are you there? Grand Bassa County has
You're
their
right.
own community.
You're
You
right.
got Nick County, you got Lofa County, you got Booker T. Washington Institute, of the largest vocational training school. You got LOIC, you've got William V.S. Tubman Technical College way down in Maryland. How are these vocational training schools, these technical schools, these community colleges, and the university, how are they feeding into this whole thing? Why role this is where our manpower is supposed to come from. Why should Mita bring an electrical engineer from India, give him work permit, and you got Grand Bassa County College, they're graduating in electrical engineering? I mean, explain that to me. Explain that to me. Or University of Liberia graduating electrical engineers and Tubman University graduating electrical engineers, and you bring electrical engineer from India. Last time I checked, current electricity is seen as electricity in every country. So I mean, that we don't do critical thinking about, and this is where these foreign investment entities take advantage of our ignorance and our lack of critical thinking in this Liberianization power. So they come in with influence, which is mostly money, and they convince our leaders who don't have the depth and the height and the length of understanding or the breadth of understanding of how much impact manipulating or shrinking the Liberianization sectors will be to the overall economy. Let me just prove a point. Because electricity is improving in Liberia, Rufus, correct me if I'm wrong, every hotel, every guest house, every restaurant, every office building has what? Air conditioning units. Am I
Yeah,
right? So
you're right. You're right.
imagine how about the service sector for air conditioning. The largest air conditioning service company in Liberia is a Lebanese company. It's called Morgan Refrigeration.
Wow.
Yeah, just that sector alone. Every guest house, every ministry, every agency of government, every business, every hotel, motel, guest house, restaurant has air conditioning units. And the AC sector, in the US, we call it the HVAC, heating, ventilation, and cooling.
Air
Okay.
conditioning.
Yeah, air conditioning. It's a major trend. And there's spare parts to be sold because the power is bad and wear and tear. But that sector alone creates thousands of new jobs. So how are we doing critically in thinking and understanding that this sector, who has all of the service contracts for all the air conditioning units in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Executive Mansion? Who has a service contract for all the air conditioning units in the different government ministries? Who? Liberian companies? I don't believe so. I don't
Most likely
believe so. There you go. So
and
again,
that
are we just
no go
that
ahead.
sector? I mean, I'm just saying, just that sector alone. Forget about stationary. Forget about, I mean,
And
just
that's
that sector
and that's the
alone.
point Alexandra is making. The training, the education has to be intentional. The Ministry of Labor has to look at all these different job and activities and see who are benefiting from these things, right? How do you drive Liberians to be prepared for these kind of situations? You gave an example of South Africa. If you're not prepared for it, it impacts the economy. If you drive out the foreigners, the Ghanaians, the
That's it.
Nigerians who doing all the work, even we saw that example, yeah, right? When they started cracking down on all these immigrants, the jobs that they were doing, what happened? Who could do it? Right now, to get somebody to fix one tile on your roof, the price is up in the sky because
That's exactly
Yeah.
right.
it's not a local American doing it, it's a foreign person. So
Yeah.
if you don't train your people, you don't position them,
So,
to
so,
make this
so,
thing
so
happen. It's a
at this
problem.
point, I want to play the devil's advocate,
So
right? Um, let's understand that we as young people, we need to also be intentional and willing to put our minds in acquiring education. These are all technical fields. How many young people willing to venture into the vocational areas to acquire these skills?
but we look at
Everyone
it,
would
we look at the
consider
enrollment, though, Rufus. We look at the enrollment. There are many young people
we want to go and sit down in the
in
office.
trade schools.
So at this point, we need to be intentional as young people. A lot of young people, yes, the number is increasing gradually. So at this point in time, like our sister said, the government needs to put in more money into education because education, like we always say, is a better right to the society. If we
Yeah.
are not educated, the things that we ought to benefit from, we won't because you have foreigners. That's why you see a lot of donor funding that come, they will send more experts behind it because the experts are not here. People who should be working in those areas
Wait,
are not here.
wait,
So the people got to
wait.
send people behind and they will carry the same money. So
Okay.
we
And
like
back in the
at least
day, they used
actually,
to send people for training. Even these yellow machines that were supposed to be coming,
yeah,
weren't they supposed to send people for training to be able to maintain these machines? Did they
yeah.
do
So,
that?
so
Who were
you
the
see,
Liberian
it's very important, and we say kudos to the guys who are actually training our Liberians in the vocational areas, the Valasoi, like the other institutions there. They are training our young people to operate these machines because you cannot bring foreigner to come and be operating those machines. Just one day labor, you don't have the money to pay that person. So it's good that we get the young people encouraged to venture into those areas, and also the government to put more money. But at the same time, there must be transparency in the enforcement of the laws in this Liberian taxation policy, because
Mhm.
for some political reasons, our people may just play laissez-faire attitudes in implementing these laws to safeguard Liberians in this process.
Yes, that's a solid point, and that preparation, preparing our people, it comes multiple ways. That's why at our profile or potential a Liberian company that has the potential to help in our capacity called Fixars, shortly once we get to that point. But the opportunity is huge if we look at, and I'm trying to bring it up. If we look at some of the numbers from the recent World Cup, how you were talking, Akina, about preparing your country, preparing your people, right? If we look at the breakdown of the revenue that was generated and how it flowed, we see that
Mhm.
if you're hosting any activity, you give the example of the July 26th, but there's the examples of the county meet and other things where people need housing, people need rooms to rent, or people gonna spend on certain things. How do you prepare that economy, for that local economy, for them to be able to absorb and benefit? Because that's basically that tourism, that new activities and other things like that. So we have to start thinking bigger, and we can
Critical
take a
thinking.
page from the
Critical
World
thinking.
Cup and see
Thinking.
how they do it.
Critical
Go ahead.
thinking. No, I'm just saying, I'm reinforcing your point. Critical thinking. We do not apply the principles of critical thinking and strategic thinking and long-term thinking. We think in abstract. Okay, we pick one item and we put all our attention on it, not understanding that there are a whole series of things connected to it. You get my point. As we're, I mean, take for instance the energy sector. Once you decide to invest in the energy sector to increase power generation, to increase power transmission, to increase power distribution, okay, once you decide to go down that road, you should automatically understand, there should be an understanding that once you invest in power generation, increasing your generation capacity, increasing your transmission capacity, spreading the power to all the different counties, and your distribution capacity, right? Connecting more homes, connecting more businesses. I mean, there should be an automatic reflex action in your thinking to be strategic to understand that this energy is going to stimulate so many other sectors in the economy. More people are going to use that energy to create jobs, to provide opportunities. And then once that takes place, it's going to create more jobs. Taking point. More offices will be open. People want to be more comfortable in the office because we're in a tropical climate. And the only way to improve your climate condition in the tropical climate within your office, your home, your bedroom, your for guests is with the air conditioning unit. So more AC units will come in, will create bigger demand on the power grid, and those AC units will have to be serviced and maintained. That within itself is going to create more jobs. You get my point. More restaurants are going to be established. That means we're going to have to start investing in what? In catering schools. You get my point? In catering schools. So that means the restaurant will have, I mean, the hotels, motels, guest houses, they're going to have more restaurants for people to come in. And you need most people to be trained to serve, people to be trained to cook. There's more equipment in that side. Then you need more people to train to go out to maintain the facility. More construction. That masons, carpenters, plumbers, electricians. So where's the thinking at the government level, the critical thinking, strategic thinking, and forecasting to know that once electricity has come to Qatar, more guest houses, more hotels, when electricity has come to Wiyala, when electricity comes to Banga, I mean, it's going to stimulate economic growth. So where are the young people that will have to be employed and hired and positioned in these places? Take, for instance, the building material business. It's a multi-million dollar business in the Liberian economy. The biggest building material stores, Eagle, City Builders, and Jetty, they are all foreign owned. The three major business material companies in that dominate the construction sector in Liberia. Rufus, correct me if I'm wrong. City Builders, Jetty, and Eagle. Those are the big three. Those are the big three. You go when you're coming from Robertsville, you come to Dwazo up on the hill there. You see City Builder. You come down to Boys Town Junction. You see Eagle. They're the two big. I mean, they dominate that whole sector. And that's where all the money from Sendwave, MoneyGram, Western Union is being sent home. People are building their home. Where do they go? So those three companies, critical thinking, strategic thinking, and forecasting have what? Strategically positioned themselves. Government ministry needs to be built. Government ministry needs to be rehabilitated, renovated. Where do you go? City Builders, Eagle, or Jetty. And this is where so in order for us, for Liberian businesses, Liberian companies to benefit from the Liberianization policy, we need to think strategically. We need critical thinking and strategic thinking in depth so that we can forecast and position ourselves in a way that what is coming towards us, we can benefit from it. We can benefit from it. And that's where, Rufus, you're calling it education. If the government is investing more in BWI to put out the graduates, then any foreign company coming in, you tell them, say, hey, up front, you're coming in, you need technicians, you got to go to LOIC, you got to go to BWI, you got to go to these county community colleges, you got to go to Tubman University, you got to pick up the company, the employees. Liberians have to be first. You got to do a Liberia first policy. Liberians have to benefit from these investments. You see, and we don't have the people, making a decision. So your devil advocacy there, Rufus, I think you're justified in that. But again, if you're going to educate the public, let's do it through business talk as well. There's more money to be earned in the vocational trade. It's just like here in Houston. One of the largest sector in the Houston economy, people say it's oil and gas, but it's the HVAC, heating, ventilation, cooling, and air conditioning. Why? Because this is the tropical part of the country. Florida, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas. HVAC is a huge industry. It's a huge industry. And the training class here is anywhere between 8 weeks. Some training classes are 12 weeks for residential air conditioning. Some training classes go for 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 12 months, or a year for commercial level air conditioning. And the guys who run those businesses, they run $1 million businesses. They run $1 million business because it's a major vocational trade that companies and businesses in this economy cannot function without air conditioning and heating. Without air conditioning and heating. So we need to educate the public, educate the young people. Life is not about wearing a suit and sitting in the office. The guy in the office, if his AC goes off, he can't sit in the office because the office becomes hot.
Yep.
So he has to call the air conditioning guy who went to LOIC and pay him to come and fix the AC in his office. So at the end of the day, who commands the power? Is it the man in the office or is it the AC guy? You see, so we need to educate the young people who are listening to business talk today. Invest your education in the vocational trade because with vocational trade, you will always have a job. You're making blocks, masonry, carpentry, plumbing, people who are building houses. You can't build a house without plumbing. You see,
You
so
cannot.
Liberian has, yeah. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying you can. For example, let me see if I can share an example here of what we're talking about. Um, because the the earlier stuff you put up would come to that Joe Monju said about the creation of the Youth Entrepreneurship and Investment Bank will come to that. But let's just touch on the World Cup and the kind of revenue that was generated. I'm not saying that's the level of revenue, but if we follow that kind of structure, we are able, like you say, the thinking, the focus, and everything, we will be able to get to that. So, for example, this past World Cup, let me see if I can find the exact document. I think okay. No, this is Maluz, but let me share. Um, okay, here we go. Can you see this stuff about the United States and Canada and Mexico? Hey guys, can you see the screen?
I
Yeah,
can
I'm
see the
seeing
screen.
it.
Okay. So that's the I gotta stop sharing because that's the wrong one. That will be shared later. Um, let me share this entire screen. So this entire window. Let me share the entire screen will make it easier. Um, and then I can go to that particular workup. All right, now you see the United States, Canada, Mexico, right?
Yep.
So it's U.S. cities alone. Forget about Canada and Mexico. Just the U.S. cities. They attracted regional and indirect economic activity to the tune of 30 billion for the whole city. It's FIFA broke their own record. They generated 15 billion. So just imagine, I don't know if you guys heard about it, but after this World Cup, Josh Kushner, the investment guy, Trump man, they wanted
Yeah,
to
Jeff.
buy the rights, the marketing and operational rights for the World Cup. But the Europeans said they were boycotting FIFA. They were not going to
Yeah.
participate, and other countries too. So when you just look at it, break
Yeah, yeah.
down kind of revenue that generated, because Liberia soccer country now, so I should be aware, the television and broadcasting, the marketing, the partnership, hospitality, okay, significant hospitality come with these things. So even
Yeah.
if we look at our own domestic tourism, when July 26th is coming to our county, how do we set it up for that county to benefit from that particular event and in a sustainable way afterwards, that some of those businesses can continue? Because I can
Yeah.
bet anything there were people from Morovia taking food, taking drinks and other and merchandise, taking it to Basel for people to buy, during that time frame. Whereas the local economy was probably not prepared to host it, like you said, the last day before the event or the day of the event, they stay painting trees. That should not be the case. That should not be the case. So there's significant dollars in hosting these things. And to go to the point that Alexandra was raising, um, you know, we we have now um a company called Fixars, okay, and it's by a Liberian, John Malou. He started this company. It gives the professional people in Liberia in the different contracting areas, whether it's cleaning, whether it's construction, whether it's repair or stuff like that, for you to be able to get those professionals through this system he has developed, connects you with trained professional, trusted professional. He also integrating this effort to get certified people by working with some of the different TVET institutions in the country to get people from them and to find some way to register these people so that you know that when you hire somebody through Fixars, the name is Fixaars, Fixars. So you can go to fixars.com and see what he's doing there, right? But these are the different categories: plumbing, carpentry, deck repair, door repair, fixture, painting, patching, piling, all of these different things, plus electrical stuff that's not even yet electrical work. So there's a lot of opportunity there. Even with this kind of system, he can approach government and say, look, these people are professional contractors here. You need to incorporate them. The bill Amar Corner is trying to pass. If for any reason you're doing some kind of repair work, like you said, like let's say they're trying to repair the whole ministerial complex or do something there and hire a foreign firm, you got to give people, librarians, contractors 25, 30, 40, 50% of the work for them to be involved in this economy. So, like you say, it has to be intentional. The government has to be involved. The government has to want to set this up. And I think
Yeah,
John was
just a little information concerning that. I just came across, on August 6th,
right,
the Liberia First National Hospitality Training Center was dedicated and taken over to the government.
right.
Yeah, it's just right there at the SKD. So the Business and Domestic Occupational Training Center, BDOTC, campus near the SKD Sports Complex in Painesville. The facility provide practical training in tourism, food service, and hotel operations. So
That's wonderful.
on the 6th of August, this center was turned over to the government, and the key partners, the government of Liberia, European Union, UNIDO, Agency for Francesi Development, that's AFD, and IEC. So that's a good start. At least from this point, gradually, if we can have these centers all across the country, it will actually get our folks to be more engaging in these areas that we just talked about.
So we're just talking about that whole thing and the fixed stars, and Mr. Molu sent this out to his team. They met Woody Meyer. I know you know who Woody Meyer is, right? And Rufus.
Yeah, he's still here in the country.
He stayed in the country.
Yeah. He went earlier and returned. He just had a master class on this content creation stuff with some young people.
There you go. That's wonderful. He's doing a lot of things, and he's one of Africa's most prominent digital creators and storytellers. His YouTube platform alone has approximately 2.03 million subscribers, nearly 350 million lifetime views, and more than 1,500 published videos, alongside a substantial audience across Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and social platforms. And Molu was able to get him to record a little video. It's not exactly clear or so, but we can just play for people to hear. These are the kind of promotions that in general we as Liberians need. You see, he wearing a Liberian shirt on this. He has been promoting Liberia. He went to different places and shared that. We need more of that from our people. It will have a few influencers, Liberian influencers who are sharing some things about Liberia, but a lot of the influencers are sharing.
Yeah, like my guy Emmanuel Kotu.
Okay,
Yeah.
There you go. He does that too. Yeah, he goes to different places and stuff. So we got to appreciate and respect that, So
Volume, Ava.
Right. So basically, he's saying, you should download Fixers and be able to access that opportunity to connect yourself with professionals who can, do the job the right way for you. And we need more of that. We need more of the training. We need more of the intentional plan to move these young people into jobs and stuff like that. So that brings us to the point about the Youth Entrepreneurship and Investment Bank, right? So just so people can understand, we don't want to take the word for ourselves, but the government set this up along with the African Development Bank, right, to have a youth entrepreneurship and investment bank. So I think they're still employing people. I don't think it has been set up properly yet. It was already supposed to be active in 2026. Where it's at now, It's not where it should be. So implementation is always major. People take it for granted. Project and program management is very critical. Who you
It's
get to
very critical.
implement a program, what pace they're going with, what kind of timelines you're setting. Are they meeting those timelines? Is the activity, really going according to schedule? So those are critical things. And yes, Monju, we have heard about the Youth Entrepreneurship and Investment Bank. We think is a wonderful, wonderful idea. More effort needs to be applied to these kinds of things. But it's also a part of, I think Rufus was trying to be a devil's advocate and put the onus on the young people. They should also be aggressive in pursuing these things. Some of the protests, some of the noise making, it should not be just about the politics. It should be about the economy, the business. How can they
Yeah.
fit themselves into these things? How can they do some of the research? That's why I just cannot find the view of this young guy who was talking about liberalization and government going beyond just the enforcement of stopping three work permits from going through. No, they need to do more than that. And it's very important that we all look at this thing, because at the end of the day, Liberia is like a pie. How you
Yeah.
expand a pie for more people to be
Yeah.
involved, and people to eat some of that pie, that is. All we can look at is just in our own context, Liberia is a pot of rice, right?
Oh,
How you
yes.
dish
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
food, the woman who cooked that food, how to dish it up. That's how people will eat. Because I
Yeah.
know when my woman cook, my brother, my sister used to stay right by her when she dish out the food. When she put one meat in the family bowl, they come on me, my boat. So yes, so it's about
The men,
sharing, to a
the
large
the men
extent.
help us do, the men help us do early on strategic positioning. Strategic positioning.
He the old man. He the one providing the services that you need. He want to see through that family. He crazy. No, but most of this is true though. Critical thinking. We always talk about that. Like we
Yeah.
got to be intentional about how we think about these things. So
You know,
yeah, but where is Janice Cookies? Where is she?
yeah.
Rufus?
I tried. I did not see her on the stuff. So I'm gonna do all I can by the special grace of God. I know God is faithful to do what He said He would do. To reach out to Batonsville. She in the Batonsville, Johnsonville area. Since I cannot get her on the internet, I'll reach in that area and ask about her so that we get her on. Yeah.
So what kind of cookies she make? Because my favorite cookie that oatmeal raisin. I love oatmeal raisin cookies.
Butter cookies. You know,
Butter
in our
cookies.
local way we say butter cookies, but very
Oh,
nice.
okay, those are nice too. Those are nice too. So yeah, we hope she can come on, because again we saw on the liberalization thing, right? Bakery. Bakery
Bakery.
before was 100% Liberians. Now they shifted. They say if the foreigner can have 300,000, they can invest in bakery. So we got Loving, we got some other places right on the boulevard there that are doing baking and stuff like that. So again,
Yeah, and we also have. I already talked to her. She would have come this Saturday, but due to some meeting with foreign partners, like because they are giving her grant, she asked that we push her from next Saturday. One
okay,
Ella Neblet. She has her own full area right around the ERW before reaching the LPS area there. Yes,
wonderful.
she has her own stuff. She
Very good.
just won a grant. Of recent, she won a grant and she's doing extremely well. So Ella will be with us as we also pursue to get Janice.
Yeah. You know,
Okay,
what I want to throw in here, Bruce, let's see if we can take a few calls after this. Please put the telephone numbers up. Let's take a few calls. But we started off the show this year talking about the ecosystem, right? The Liberian economy. We as a country, we as a nation, we're an ecosystem, and the ecosystem has different parts, and they're all interconnected and interdependent to make sure that the interdependency and the habitation of those different parts of the ecosystem, they all work in synchrony, right? They all work together like a symphony orchestra. You have different people doing different things, like a choir. You got the bass, you got the alto, the sopranos, everybody singing together. but it's not the individual singing that matters, but it's when they're all singing together in harmony, the tune that comes out of the song that comes out is very beautiful. That's what our economy is. But the challenge again is our lack of critical thinking. We're not thinking in a critical way. We're not trying to strategically position ourselves for what is coming down the road. We're not, I mean, we've got Transco CLSG that runs through the country. I think being paid for. It's running through there. I mean, if you think about it, many people don't even understand that LEC does not have a transmission grid that moves power into Buchanan. So how did the power get to Buchanan from LEC? It was through moving the power on the Transco grid from Mount Coffee into Buchanan. So it
Wow.
proved that yes, it proved that the grid is a smart and intelligent grid, and they've used the circuit breaker in the Transco yard to tie in the EU funded project for distribution across Buchanan. So we need to be strategic in our thinking. We need to strategically position ourselves as a country, as a nation. And that responsibility is upon the administrative branch of government and the legislative branch of government, along with the county leadership as well. They're the ones that bear the ultimate responsibility for critical thinking and strategic thinking, so that, as Alex said, we don't put the cart before the horse. We have to be responsive in our thinking and not reactive. We don't, I mean, when something happens, that's when we want to act. We need to think strategically. Our economy is evolving, and the outsiders are looking at our economy, and they're taking advantage of all of what is taking
They can
place in
sense
the.
that vulnerability.
That's
Look,
exactly.
a real business person come to Liberia, they see huge, huge opportunities when they look around.
Let,
They
let, let,
know
let me prove a
exactly where
point.
to put
Let
their
me,
money.
let me prove a point. Let me prove a point. Anybody in Kakata who listen, if you go to the Kakata market, the nature of a marketplace is where it's bustling with transaction business, right? Okay. But the strategic thing about the market is what? All the women are selling fish, perishable. They're selling chicken pot, perishable.
Storage.
Ah, there you go. So the Lebanese guy can he bring the cold storage, he put it right there, and they all need ice. Why? Because it is warm. So if you buy the ice by 7 o'clock, to put on your fish and everything, we eat by 9 or 10, you're gonna come by a bottle of ice because the heat that melt the ice. Strategic thinking, strategic positioning. When the market ends for the day, you got to take the fish. You can't carry it home. You got to give it back to the now. You got to put in the storage and they can collect it in the morning. So the guy, I mean, he's strategically thinking and strategically positioning himself. Even if he will run that cold storage on generator, he's already calculating how many gallons he will need to run it until in the morning to make enough ice and everything. Strategic thinking and critical thinking to take advantage of the deficiency in the market. You go to Banga, it's the same thing. You go to Wiala, it's the same thing. You go to Bapolu, it's the same thing. You go to Tottenberg, this thing is every part of the country. It's every part of the country. The guys know that send wave money is coming into all the Liberian smartphone, I mean, Liberian phone to the network. So they know that Liberians will have money to spend every day to buy things. They're strategically positioning themselves. They're doing critical thinking to understand that this money is in the economy, and Liberians are so not focused. They were so not focused. We don't think strategically. We don't position ourselves strategically. All we want to do is we want to read to something that has already taken. The guy who was responsive, he benefits because he positioned himself in preparation for what is coming down the road. What is coming down the road. Mitas, I mean, again, the air conditioning sector, the plumbing sector, the building material sector is a huge segment of the market. This fixers thing that John Molu has done is very strategic. It is he's responding to what is evolving in the market. Liberian, that there's so many technicians, So, I mean, the company, the country, Monrovia and its surrounding areas, people are building their homes. So now trying to service things in Monrovia is not all to it. You got Johnson there. Johnson there has opened up behind Bonneville Estate. Johnson there, Mount Barkley, you got home. You can't bring a technician from Monrovia anymore. So if you just have electricians, plumbers, carpenters, and masons in that whole Mount Barkley area, you have a large community there that you can service. That you can service. But again, are these people trained? Are they certified? Are they qualified? So you need something that people can reach out to and know that the technician I'm bringing to my house, he's not going to steal something in my house. He's responsible. He has references and so forth and so on. So I think what he's doing is very, very, laudable and very, very critical. And it's key, that is a key thing for the evolving economy of our ecosystem economy. I just hope that the leadership, the government, the representative, the legislature will be more futuristic and more forecasting and critical thinking in their capabilities. Because until we do that, we will not be able to strategically position ourselves and the benefit for what's coming down the road. $250 million. I mean, all the grants and everything else coming into our budget. The foreigners, those guys, they're going to position themselves because they're critical. They're thinking in a critical way. They're thinking in a critical way. So, Rufa, let's open the telephone line. So, if anybody's there to call in, they can participate. What are you smiling about,
Well,
Rufus?
let's look at the last line here.
Okay.
How the YEIB, yes, is wonderful. Like you want to say on paper, it covers multiple sectors. It's exciting in terms of the areas they want to go into, the cassava processing, agribusiness, fishery, coaching that we're just talking about, sustainable wood processing. We got the forest, we got the wood, but to say we have an actual wood processing business that's sustainable in the country is not there. The agri processing will produce stuff, food production, everything. All of these are great. Renewable energy, green businesses, like you see on paper. But look at what he just said. That's what we're talking about. Execution. How you translate from paper and implement and execute and sustain that execution. That's so critical to our economy. So hopefully, more people can start to pay attention. The people in power who control these things, the implementation of this, it should not be delayed. They should move this process along. It directly affects the economy. And, I will talk to John. Maybe John can look at this process and partner with, whoever is doing it, that they can identify some of these young people for the jobs that this YEIB with the potential is already funded, is already planned out. But execution, implementing it, getting Liberians to fill those positions, to start those businesses, is critical. So, that somebody like John Malou, Fixers, and some of the stuff they're doing on the business side can help our young people get jobs, can improve our economy, is very critical for those kind of partnerships to exist.
Yeah. Okay. So keeping this thing that Joe Moyu just put up here, right? Okay. So YEIB, the YEI Bank, focus sectors according to what I read. Cassava processing, you need electricity. Agribusiness, you need electricity. Fishery, you need electricity. Cold storage for the fishery, you need electricity.
Everything needs electricity.
Agri-processing, electricity. So, and then, so what role does the electricity play in the Achilles heel of execution?
It's significant.
I mean, is this putting the cart before the horse? The same thing with the arrest agenda. I mean, you're focusing on tourism, the T in arrest, but how will the hotel come on?
No, but I'm really enjoying the participation from Joe Moyu and Alexandra. Hopefully, more people can really participate and share the thoughts, because that's how, once we have this kind of interactive engagement, it'll be wonderful. So I hope the listeners out there, shout out to you all listeners. We hope that you all can also call in. It's important that we get the feedback from the ground, the people who
from the ground,
may be in the community of YEIB, or the people who may want opportunities with YEIB, who may have already sent in applications for whatever sector to do whatever. What is the pace? What are they doing? And if you are YIB official out there, if you want to share, come on the show and share with us what YIB is doing, how you guys are doing it, what you guys expect. Because a lot of these things sometimes is the whole communication aspect, right?
Yeah,
People think
yeah.
take it for granted that people just will know when you put one announcement. Oh no, that's not how it works. You
No,
gotta
no.
inundate them. You gotta overflow them with that information for them to know these people are serious. These people are doing this. It's gotta be repetitive, and that's why advertising works because they
Right.
consistently putting that in there, messing with your mind that oh, they thing
Yeah,
exists.
yeah, yeah.
How new songs when they come out, how they gotta play them, and then all of a sudden you don't even know it, you start shaking and humming to a particular song. So we have to take some of those marketing activities and bring it to some of the government activities. You know,
That's
that's why
exactly right. Yeah,
the
and
Ministry of
apply.
Information is very
And
critical in communicating. I've told them that once a week or whatever time they get and bring government officials on to talk about stuff is not enough. You got to pound that information. You got to share that information. Even people don't understand it. With the whole drug situation, is a marketing thing too, because there's people who looking at the drug situation. All they want to do is destroy the government and blame the government for everything there. The
yeah,
government may be trying. There are definitely elements in the government who are part and parcel of this whole drug operation, and they got to try to weed them out. But they had to, on their end, articulate what they are doing, how they are doing it, and encourage people. Nobody say, yes, on the investigation, secret, tell the people, oh, tomorrow morning we're going over to that spot there to go bust it or whatever. No, don't give them that warning. But
mm,
you have to be able to communicate to the people what you are doing, and what it will lead to, at least to assuage some of the tension that people are feeling, some of the fact that people feel government doesn't care, government not making the right impact. That responsibility is on them because it's easy for anybody in opposition or anybody who is against something to just denounce it, and that
yeah,
word
yeah,
flows
yeah, yeah.
faster out there to the
Okay.
public than you who trying to make the case that yes, we are doing something. That's why when you making the case, you have to consistently make the case, consistently show progress, and be able to, really articulate your point and why some things may not happen that you are being criticized for. So, is I mean, this show has been very exciting for me. Um, I'm already having fun. I'm in North Carolina. I'm at the Cosby University Alumni Association of the Americas convention. We are having a wonderful time. Last night, on Friday night, we had the welcome party. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
awesome. It was nice. People were dressed like the 80s, and
Okay,
hey,
good.
all we're doing is to try to help Liberia again, try to
Yeah,
improve the situation on continent. There are a whole bunch of alumni associations out there. Last week,
yeah,
unfortunately, I could not go to the cathedral reunion in the New England area because of my godson's
yeah, yeah,
funeral and
yeah.
stuff. But a lot of people are trying to do things for our institutions, our schools, our communities. Different communities got different associations. But when we can really aggregate our
Yeah,
remittances and be able to
yeah,
invest them into real tangible things that can produce. Like right now, if we really start thinking, like we've been talking here, planning, right? When that compact is coming, how are we engaging the Millennium Challenge Corporation or the Liberian Millennium Challenge Corporation to ensure that Liberian businesses really benefit from
and that's
what's
it. Yes, yes,
what
yes,
are the
yes,
areas
yes.
you guys will be focused on, will be spending money on? Is it the economic analysis? Is it the impact analysis? Is it the feasibility studies? Is it the actual mining operation that will be coming? Who are the investors that are coming to do this work? How will they be fed? All the stuff where they got to really do the assessment, they got to relocate some people. Some of the places where they will be impacting. What's the relocation plan? Who's coming in? Who's building homes? Who creating new communities? All of those things we have to start thinking about them for us to join and be a part of it. So, oh.
Rufus,
Alexandra,
let me
you
give you
was
a line.
one.
Is it,
You see what Alexandra
Rufus, you
what she
got
said?
Rufus, you got any callers on the line there? I see you smiling in the background.
I
Oh, but
just got
hold up. Alexandra, the question you asking here, that's you missed the part of the show. We're talking about fixed hours. That's what John Molu has done. Maybe if you got another idea to add on to it, it's a platform. You want me to share it again? I can share it because it's a platform where you can go, and I believe they already have an app, the Fix Us app. You can go to fixus.com and download, or go to justfixus.com and be able to get contractors to do your work. And he has already reached out to the different and TVET schools, the technical and vocational education and training schools, to connect professionals from there and and also business professionals in Liberia who are operating, getting them to register with a fixed house app. So when you go there, you can say, "Oh, they made a plumber, the other man a plumber, they made a plumber. Let me talk to the other one and see whether he can do my job." And then you get the right person to do your job. So yes,
One
it's
minute.
a very good business idea. But there's somebody there. But that doesn't mean you can't compete. That's where it's great. Build your platform and compete. Competition is good. And I'm sure Mr. Molu being, a businessman who does not mind competition. It's about whose product is better and who product can get to the market. But all we're seeing is give everybody equal footing in the private sector where government can help us, especially in areas where we are supposed to be empowered from the liberalization policy. They need to help Liberians advance in that respect, get a good foothold for whatever business they are doing. And some of these businesses are guaranteed, like government has to do repairs, government got to do communication, government got to do printing. They got to allocate wherever that bill is that Conan is saying for 25%, it has to be moved for Liberians, especially those areas that touch the Liberianization policy. So we really, really need more lawmakers, more people in government to focus on how they can support the Liberians who are in business, because small business is what drives our economy, is what pushes an economy, and that's what creates jobs for the majority of your citizens. How we move our people from the informal sector into the formal sector, where they can be taxed and all of that, is very critical. Um, okay, you added him. Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah,
Welcome back, Keno.
yeah,
So
you know the point you're making. Rufa, do we have any calls there? Does anybody want to call in? I heard you talking to somebody there
Yes,
laughing.
like I said, I was going to do all I can in my little power to get. I finally got sis Jackie cookies. I finally
Hey,
got her. And so before we bring her on, let us just hear her a bit. The radio is actually working. So sis Jackie, how you doing? I just love how you treat. Sis Jackie, how you doing, man? You're live on the
I'm
radio.
well, thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
We spoke of you last week, and there are a lot of interest in getting to know what you do. And who is Sis Jackie? By the way, she's Mrs. Jackie W. Richard. So she's like where she is now. You say you are selling, right?
After you had a bit to the thing around, I starting around.
Okay, so just speak to our folks a little bit. Who is
All right. Good afternoon, my Liberian people.
that's the voice of Jackie, folks.
Jackie
Jackie
Rosette,
Cookies.
commonly known as Jackie's Cookies.
okay?
I'm excited to be here and be there.
That's great. That's great. So we're looking forward to actually have you on Saturday. Yeah, where you'll be in the studio and interacting with the people. You got one of your biggest fan here. Of course, she also reminded me of about your activities because we made the pledge that we're going to bring you on since Alexandra. So when she mentioned you, that's how we thought to get you, and blessingly we got in touch. So what's your inspiration, or what motivated you to get involved with the sale of cookies?
So I came from a background where we always live in lack because our parents couldn't afford. My father and my mother have 10 children, 4 boys, 6 girls. We grew up busting rap to survive. And then I got married. When I got married, I started to experience the same poverty. And then it went on and went on. And Rufus, to be realistic, I hate poverty. Yeah, poverty is full of disrespect, poverty is inconvenience. And then I told myself I needed to do something. I didn't just want to do something to survive. I wanted to do something to inspire other young women around me or within my generation. So I started Jackie's Cookie 3 years ago. I started it on Facebook, and then later on it went down. But then before we crossed over to 2026, the inspiration came about again to start Jackie Cookie on a national and global business. That's why you hear Jackie's Cookie to the world. So we are not just selling cookies, we are passing on messages to a lot of young women out there who feel that they can depend on somebody to survive, or who see that they can use their body to survive. We are passing a message on to them that you can use the little thing that is in your hand, and then you can turn it into a big thing. So that's one of my inspiration.
Okay. So is there any other word that you want to post to Sis Jackie? Ava?
Well, Jackie, I want to just commend you. Thank you for starting the business. And people, you heard what she said, right? When she started, some things didn't go right, some things failed. But she didn't give up. She demonstrated that resilience and she came back. She made it bigger on a national scale, on a global scale. So now we're talking about her on this show. Next week, Saturday, hopefully, she will come on the show and tell us more about Jackie Cookies, tell us some of her challenges, tell us how we can ask her, Jackie, what's the opportunity for other people to invest in your business? There may be somebody out there who may be interested in cookies too, who may want to work with Jackie, who may want to help her elevate, with what she's doing, be her partner. So all of these are things that we are working towards. So we are excited, Jackie, for you to come on to join us, hopefully next week, Saturday, to be a part of the show, because it's very, very important for what you're saying, the inspiration you're giving young Liberian women. We just had a show yesterday. I was on a podcast. Was it yesterday? Was it Thursday? No, day before yesterday. There's a show called a series called The Polygamist. And I was on that show, and we're talking about how women need to be empowered more. It's Miss Stephanie Duncan, Stephanie Salamantu Duncan. She is the host for that show. And it's about, women empowerment. It's about the real life thing that we all talk about, that we participate in. And we understand the disadvantages of women in Liberia, the problem they have. So when women are into business and they are trying to empower themselves, we got to support them. We got to bring them into the fold. Any way we can promote them is what we should do. So Jackie, we really are inspired by you, and we hope other women will see that inspiration and work towards, doing business as well. It's very, very important that they move away from selling their bodies to get revenue to actually doing tangible work that can generate revenue for them. So thank you for being an example. And we really look forward to you coming on the show for us to have a conversation about what you're doing and how other people out there can partner with you, help you support your business, and hopefully you can get a few more orders and more consistent customers. Thank you.
Okay, Sis Jackie, we'll talk here after, okay?
Okay, so Rufus, thank you for coming Saturday. I bring some cookies. So anyway, I'm going to
Hey, now, Ruben, what we eat our cookie, Ruben? 5 plastic bag, put some inside for me.
In the business, man. We'll promote the business right here.
We're on the show next Saturday.
Okay.
That's
So anyway, that's very good. That's very good. I like, one thing, I always listen to the words that people use in their discussions and their conversation. There are two ways you can use your body. You can use your body either for good or for bad. She's out there using her body right now to drive and push her business. She's still using her body, but she's using her body in a very, very positive way. She's out there using her feet, her legs, her hands, speaking, talking about her business, pushing it, driving it, providing for her household, her home, and her family. And again, the motivation when she said, I hated poverty. I hate it. And she understands what poverty does. And she made a choice. She made a decision to what? To go up against it. And she built a whole business, came up with an idea, and inspired herself to drive and to go out and make it happen every day. So, when she comes on the show next week, I believe that we'll have a lot of listeners. Rufus, please make sure you do the poster early. Let's get the poster out early so more people can come on, and maybe people, make sure she bring the cookies on the show so we can buy the cookies, and make sure she put her mobile money, number out so people can buy her cookies, even if it's a contribution. Let everybody contribute to it, and let her be an inspiration to so many young women across the listening area from Kakata to Banga, where we're relaying the show today to Kakata FM and through Radio Lela in Banga, Bon County. And let her be an inspiration. This is what we need. Economic empowerment through small Liberian business that can ultimately grow. And like you said, Jackie Cookies what? To the world. Jackie
Yeah.
Cookie to the world. Jackie Cookie to the world. So I think that's very, very good. Very, very inspirational. Thank you so much for a great show today. I'm very, as I said, I'm having fun. This was a great, great show today. Very good show. Liberianization and how to protect the Liberian job. And I mean, we have a thriving economy. We just have to be inspired locally and be creative and critical thinking. Critical thinking and strategic positioning will always benefit you. Will always benefit of whether you're in Liberia or you're in the US. So thank you so much. Rufus, what do we do
Yeah.
now? Yeah, we passed time. So Ava is in Raleigh. He's got to go to his folks.
I gotta go hang with
And
my people. Shout out to my
hang with,
people.
yeah.
Uh, okay. It's always good to be here. Every day of the show is another form of expanding our knowledge. For me, I learn a lot being with you people. You folks are fountains of great knowledge that we as young folks need to actually get to make life what it should be, because as you grow older, the challenges, and you need people who have gone through the wars and have the experience to prop you to get to do the things that you ought to do. So as a scorpions,
Scorpions, rise up, reignite, reconnect in Raleigh, North Carolina. That's what we're doing. This folks, Continental University, our alma mater. We love this school, the spirit, the fellowship, the friendship you develop as a Continental, especially if you're on the Continental campus in Swafford, County. It's a wonderful experience. I would love for most Liberians to have that experience. We still have that bond. All the people who went to school, the people who follow us, we are really, really connected. We are a wonderful alumni association. And today we'll be having our event. They actually are playing the soccer and basketball right now. For somebody like me, I want to make sure I go back home with no pulled hamstring. I know you can relate to that, Akino. So you go run, your competitive juices start flowing when you won't compete. Then you pull up muscle, your mind telling you, say, yeah, you can still run, but not knowing you can't yourself. So I'm not into that. I'm happy I was able to come on the show today. To all my Cardinal folks, if you're out there, try to support your alumni association, try to support the school. They are doing a lot of stuff with Dr. Bropley and other with the graduate school. Our president, Pinky, she's doing a great job of pushing the school in the right direction. And we are very supportive, wherever way we raise the funds and we can direct it to doing things on campus with the program, with the again electricity, with the technology. All of those things are things that we should do. So the high school, for me, I'm in like 4 different alumni associate. Oh, now 4 or 5. So Cathedral, Carroll High, CWA, Cuttington, yeah, 4. So those are the schools I went to, and it's very critical that you support the school that you went to, in order that the people who are coming behind you, can benefit from what that school imparted to you. Because without the knowledge that those schools gave us, would not be where we are today. So we really appreciate that foundational education that allows us to be competitive with all other people. So we support our president, Romel Hutton, to ensure that she can lead Cutting in the right direction. And we just hope other people out there can support their schools. Cathedral for me was kindergarten to like 6th grade, and I went to I forgot Irasi school in Yekepa. I went to Irasi school. So there are 5, but we have not had any kind of alumni association or anything from there. So the only thing from there is Carroll High. Then came back to Cathedral for 7th grade. Then I started thinking I was the man, acting frisky. They shipped me to Carhartt, not knowing the mission is what makes you worse. It doesn't really change you. Yeah, in Liberian parents thought the mission was the solution, but when you go on the mission, that way you can reach your real banana picking it. That way all the banana put they can really centralize, right? All your parents say you're bad, you're going to mission so they can treat you, but you're bringing your badness together to see how you can solidify, how you can be really bad together. So,
Yeah.
Carolina was a wonderful experience there. I wanted to come back to town. I came to see them, and then after that, after high school, I worked for 1 year where it really opened my eyes. I think that was the best year of my life in terms of my development from a fully picking, just rolling around to working with professionals and see how things work. And I always give my credit to what the name, the HR director at the time, Felicia Gadebeco, to see a young man and allow him to take they had a assessment test. And I was people mad and stuff, but plenty people were failing those assessment tests there. So I was just lucky. I just blew. I had the highest score that I ever seen in an assessment test. And so I kind of yes. And that was a big learning. So young people, if you don't make it to college, try to find a way that you can find a job somewhere. If you got that drive and you want to do something and you want to move forward, you can build that, and you have time to build that. So just keep the confidence in yourself and be able to do some of those things. And then I was able, once you get that job and you prove yourself, every vacation, whether that July vacation or December, back then we had the split in the middle of the year for July vacation, and then the December vacation with the 3-month break. I was working at Chase, so every vacation I was able to carry money with me. Whether I found out at that time, finding out I'm serious money, So folks, life can give you challenges, but there's also opportunities. And look on the positive side. Try to always be positive, regardless of what happens to you. Don't let the negatives hold you down. Be positive. I really enjoyed this show today, and I was. I woke up kind of late. I was like, I didn't even feel at this show today, but because I missed last week, I don't come on this show. And
we do 2 in a row.
We got to push that organization. That youth entrepreneurship and investment bank that Monju talked about, it's a very, very great concept. We need to see how we can get somebody from there to come and talk about it, so more youths can understand where they're going with that and how they can participate and how it can help our economy. So thank you for the show today, Rufus. Thank you for hosting. Thank you definitely for bringing Sis Jackie on. Hopefully we'll be able to talk to her better next week, and you'll be able to enjoy some cookies.
I'm excited. Rufus, once again, thank you so much for the show, man. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the listeners in Lower, Upper Margibi County, all of those across Montserrat, Cape Mount, Bombay, and all the points in between. Those who also listen to us in Banga County today through Radio Lila. Thank you so much for all of those who contributed by way of Facebook. The silent listeners, those who listen and didn't want to contribute, that's okay. Those who provided the comments, thank you so much. And once again, business talk, educating, informing, enlightening, and opening the minds of young and older Liberians about private sector business. No politics, just business, all about our ecosystem. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Ava, enjoy yourself, have fun, be safe. Rufus, once again, you've done it again, my man. Next week is all about Janice Cookies, right? She's coming on, the woman herself, she will be on. So make sure Jackie Cookies. So let everybody get ready to listen to those women. She's an inspiration, and we look forward to the poster coming out hopefully by Tuesday or Wednesday on the different platform, Jackie Cookies. Thank you so much, Rufus. Have a great and outstanding weekend. What's left of it. Bye-bye.
Business Talk. In 1 hour, 30 minutes, we provide listeners with up-to-date information and insights into various aspects of business and finance. We